You are now entering Video Village,
where we have Halloween on Christmas, and in the nights we wish that it will end. We wish that it will end.
Coming up,
we catch you all up on some things.
And then we review Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story.
Alien Romulus.
Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Speak No Evil.
The Substance.
And Strange Darling. Should we start with a catch-up?
Alright.
Yeah, you're not complaining this week, are you? Because you've got something in there.
No, okay, alright.
What?
No, I was just going to say I've resigned myself to this happening.
Right. Even though you've got an item in there.
Yeah, you gave it away now, didn't you?
Yeah, right, okay.
You've taken away my moral high ground.
Yes, okay. Well, the first thing is called The Front Room.
Okay.
Which is a pseudo-horror film.
Okay, we're in a front room right now.
We are in a front room right now. It's not about this front room, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not good. It's,
right, okay.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah. Weird or not?
No, it's a A24 film, and it's a major misfire for them.
Oh, wow, okay.
Essentially, it's about evil mother-in-law. Mother-in-law goes to live with her son and his wife, and she's a pain in the arse.
Right.
But in a horror way.
Okay. Does she live in the front room? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has, or at least spends a lot of time there. It has goofy music, a goofy tone. It feels like it's maybe trying to be a throwback, but it just comes across as strange, and yes, not in a good way. There's a lot of piss and shit in it.
Oh, is it Mexican?
What?
Wasn't there like a Mexican film you watched before that had a lot of piss and shit in it?
I'm sure, yeah. You're talking about We Are the Flash.
Yeah, that one didn't have piss and shit in it. Or did it?
It might well have done.
Okay.
There are loads of films I've seen that have a lot of piss and shit in it. Okay. Salo, for instance. It's not a Mexican thing, though.
Right, okay.
I'd say, if anything, like the Germans are associated with shit.
Oh, okay. Is it a German film?
I've probably seen a German film that has
No,
piss
is this
and
a
shit
German film?
No, this is an American film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a very scatological, bodily excretion kind of film.
Right.
Catherine Hunter plays the mother-in-law. She's a very singular creature, and she certainly commits to the performance. I've heard her singled out for praise, despite the overall negative reception of the film. I can understand why, but I personally couldn't decide whether she was good or awful.
Okay.
It's one of those kind of performances.
Oh, so it's a big performance.
It's a dialed up to 11. I'm evil. Catherine Hunter is in... I don't think you've seen her or anything, actually, other than Harry Potter, where she plays Mrs. Fig, the neighbour who's, like, supposed to look out for Harry. She's got a very, like, raspy sort of smoker's voice.
I don't remember her, yeah.
She has a very small, thin, spindly body that she kind of contorts into various... And she's going full on in this, and it rides that line between...
Okay.
This is terrible, and I guess that is good.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So that's The Front Room. Woman of the Hour. Familiar with this one?
Yes, I haven't seen it, though.
No.
Anna Kendrick's...
Kendrick. Yeah.
Anna Kendrick's directorial debut?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's based on a viral clip from The Dating Game, which was like a blind date precursor in the 70s or 80s, where serial killer Rodney Alcala was a contestant.
Right.
I don't know how pervasive that clip is outside of those who might be interested, algorithmic siloing being what it is.
Yeah.
But I've been aware of it for a long time. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't.
No, it'll be like a 2-minute thing, and he'll zoom in on the guy, and it's nothing really, but it's just kind of an interesting...
Oh, is it just like the context is what makes it creepy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a little bit weird looking, long hair, and but it's not like he comes across as serial killery in that.
Yeah.
It's a film because it's the virality of that clip, basically. There's not much meat on the bone. Really, it's about sexism. We should believe women, etc.
Okay.
Because it took the police quite a while to get the guy.
Right.
And the film has a heavy dose of, even before and outside of his killings, it's kind of Anna Kendrick as an actress, and the men don't even look at her when she's in the room. They talk about her like she's not there, and it's one of those films. There's almost certainly a healthy wad of fictionalization. So there's an audience member that recognizes Rodney Alcala and then has to leave and like knocks over a camera. I was like, that's almost certainly not true.
Okay.
Maybe someone saw it on TV and recognized him and they kind of merged it, but yeah. And some of the responses of the other two guys in the game felt like, that can't be real. Like, that's an affectation that's making the point the film wants to make.
Okay.
It's also weirdly got humour peppered throughout it. And the guy that plays Rodney Alcala, Daniel Zavato, I didn't find him remotely chilling, which is a problem.
Yeah, you kind of want that with a serial killer character.
And it's very forgettable.
Okay.
So that's that.
Is she at least an alright director?
She is a perfectly competent director on the strength of this. It's not her fault.
Okay.
She's fine in it. The script is the problem, I would say, which is interesting because I think it was a Blacklist script. You know the Blacklist? The best unproduced screenplays in Hollywood. It's one of those films. Maybe it was better on the page. I don't know. But it feels like cashing in on, oh, this is big on YouTube and TikTok and all that kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, like as far as elevator pitches go,
yeah.
even without the reinforcement of this is based on a thing that actually happened. I mean, this sounds like there's potential there, doesn't it? A serial killer on a blind date show.
I think, yes, but I think that would be better if it was fictional.
Yeah.
So you could be inventive with it.
Yes.
You know? More inventive than they were.
Yeah.
Okay, and Terrifier 3.
Oh, right, okay.
Have you seen any of the Terrifier films?
I've not seen them. I know them by reputation because they have a reputation now.
And that is what they are.
Yeah.
Gore, you know. And the gore is well done. I'm not a gore hound. It doesn't shock me or gross me out. Gore just doesn't. Like, piss and shit and vomit can.
Yeah.
But not blood. Like, that just, on film, it doesn't get me at all.
Okay.
In life either, really. I'm not saying if someone was chainsawed in front of me, I'd be like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, there are people that faint at the sight of blood. Or like, it's blood.
Right.
Gore is meant to be entertainment, right? Like kind of schlocky, wrong entertainment.
Yeah.
But entertainment nonetheless. Killing children isn't.
Okay. What if they're really annoying?
I think it would depend on how it was presented and, exactly how it was executed, as it were. That's not the case in this film. It's not like a bunch of annoying kids running around that get chainsawed.
Right.
It's just children.
Okay.
The first scene is Art the clown breaks into a family's house and he kills a child in the bedroom off screen. Like, okay, the film's trying to have like a bit of class, considering.
Yeah.
But then you kind of see the aftermath of that. And then later in the film, he blows a bunch of kids up with bombs.
Oh, right.
Pretending to be a shopping mall Santa. So yeah, slashers set up a bunch of annoying teens or 20-somethings who are obnoxious. And are all fucking each other. So it's much easier to enjoy inventive splatter at their expense. And I should stress, I'm not outraged by this. And I know it's not real. And you have to go some lengths to outrage me with film.
Yeah.
It's just, it comes across as a very juvenile attempt to be shocking. Like, oh, they kill children. Yeah.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it feels like puerile.
Yeah. Okay.
Art the clown is just fucking annoying. Essentially, he's a silent character, essentially a mime, so it's very over-the-top, gurning.
Okay.
And it's like, you're not creepy, you're just fucking irritating.
Right.
Get away from me. I know these films are empty by design, but they are empty.
Yeah.
And it's Disney gore, or Disney horror, or Disney gore horror. It's for the white girl crowd. It's for a Halloween release, so you can go with your partner. These people wouldn't know nasty if it jumped up and raped them.
Right, okay.
Trust me. Just do a little bit of digging. I'm not even talking about like genuine footage.
Yeah.
Some of the films that have been made make this look like, I don't know, fucking Lassie.
Right.
Yeah.
But would you want to go see those films with your partner for like a Halloween dates or something?
No. I'm not saying you would.
Yeah.
I suppose what I'm criticising is the thinking. Again, I've obviously got this problem with horror, ostensible horror fans, because I feel like I talk about it every episode at this point.
Well, 'tis the season.
'Tis the season. People who think Terrifier 3 is the most extreme horror out there, like, it is absolutely nowhere near the most extreme horror out there.
Is that sort of the thinking that's going around at the moment?
Well, kind of. I mean, like, they show in all the trailers, isn't it? It's footage of people in the cinema, like kind of almost throwing up.
Oh, yeah, but
and people passing out.
They've done that for years.
Oh,
though.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. But, like, what's the implication of that? Is that this is, like, a certain level of horror that even the reaction is worth documenting as part of the advertising. Yeah, they did it with Paranormal Activity and all that kind of thing. I'm not, But yeah, of course, there are some people who think Terrifier 3, oh man, this is the most extreme gore, ridiculous. Just pop over to Japanese cinema for a while.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nothing. So that's Terrifier 3.
Okay.
And Uzumaki.
Oh, speaking
of Japanese.
Yeah, it's an anime. Wait, Sam. Okay. Don't leave yet. Yeah, I think recently we talked about some anime, and I said that, like, that a lot of the anime that I watch, it's sort of the same type of anime over and over again. The reason I kind of watched this is because it seemed like it was going to be a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah, as you kind of just alluded to just now, Japan can do horror very well.
Yeah.
They can tap into something that I don't think we can tap into.
Well, I just want to clarify as well. They can do horror really well. Yeah. That wasn't what I was saying, comparing it to Terrifier. I was merely saying that in terms of extremity, they can be very.
Well, that's part of it. That's one of the ways they can be more effective is because their limits seem to be a lot higher.
Also off-putting,
right? Yeah,
depending on your taste.
Yeah,
you feel like this is pure exploitation kind of. Yeah.
No, definitely. Yeah, and the horror's just different over there.
Yeah.
Most things are.
Well, they got nuked, didn't they?
Yeah. I think that might be part of it,
Maybe.
Yeah, they know what horror is like.
I think it's a fetishistic culture. It's become a fetishistic culture. And I think that's probably... Extreme gore and horror is probably part of that.
Okay.
Yeah. But it might all tie back to the nuke thing. Like, who knows? But
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it would have an impact on a society, wouldn't it?
Of course.
Even all these years later.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why I think there are vending machines with used panties is because of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Right.
But... Also, maybe it's a reflection of it used to be, and it is now. It's a very honor-bound culture, and so you'd think that culture would also produce the most extreme, out there stuff as a rejection of the honor-bound. It's like the porn thing. Wherever you are in the world, whatever's considered taboo is pretty much the most searched for porn
in that region.
Region. So in Arab countries, it's like Jewish women and all that sort of thing. So in Japan, that's very like you have to be ordered and respectful. Yes, I can imagine a subculture of fuck that. Extreme violence,
Yes.
Yeah, but carry on.
Yeah, so Uzumaki, it's a black and white horror anime. So I was like, okay, obviously very striking, that anime art style, but in black and white. I was like, okay, let's see what they can do with it. The first episode, there's only 4. The first episode, I watched it. The animation in it is very, very smooth.
Okay.
To the point where it's almost unsettling how smooth it is.
Okay.
And I wonder if that's like part of the design of it. Because one of the first scenes in the first episode, it's just 2 characters walking down the street talking to each other. But there are so many frames to just like a character turning towards someone. Right. See the head turn, and then you see their eyes turn while their head is turning.
Okay.
It's really, really detailed.
So is it like The Hobbit, almost? And it's just a higher frame rate than you're accustomed to.
I don't know if it's necessarily a higher frame rate. I think there's more frames of animation.
Okay, right.
And as a result, it's not quite Sakuga, which I think is something we've referred to before, where you go from choppy animation to really smooth animation.
Yeah, and intense detail.
Yeah, as a sort of point of punctuation to, for humor or horror's sake. This is kind of mostly super detailed, so that you lack that contrast.
Okay.
But it has a similar effect where it's like, oh, they're moving very smoothly.
Right.
It's strange.
Uncanny for animation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's really strange to look at. And yeah, like I said, the black and white is very striking, and it works for the tone that it's going for. Because the premise is there's this town where everyone is kind of slowly succumbing to this bizarre mania, inspired by the presence of these like spirals.
Okay. And
the horror that comes from that manifests in different ways. There's a little bit of body horror. There's some gore in there. There's kind of a sense of cosmic horror as well.
It's manga, right?
Yeah, I think it's like a graphic novel, that it's based on. And then you get to the second episode, and the quality of the animation just plummets.
Okay.
It becomes a lot more rough and jagged, and it's just not as detailed, and it's not as unsettling in the way that it's sort of, in the way they move and everything. I had looked it up, because I thought, I wonder if, like, what happened here?
Yeah.
And something happened, basically. I think it was the executive producer. There's a couple of articles saying that he took to Twitter, I think it was, and he's now deleted those tweets. But someone's obviously captured them before he deleted them. And he basically said, we got fucked over, basically.
Right.
He said, I can't say whose fault it was, but it was definitely someone's fault.
Right.
And basically we were confronted with the decision of, we either release nothing, we either release the first episode and then nothing else, or we just struggle on and finish what we've got, warts and all.
Okay.
And obviously they decided to struggle on, warts and all.
Yeah.
And the show absolutely suffers as a result of it. I mean, that first episode has got pacing issues.
Yeah.
That was my major problem with, like, just that one episode. Because, aesthetically, it's brilliant. And I think it does, the type of horror that it's going for does work. There's a nice scene where the father of one of the main characters becomes obsessed with spirals. He's just collecting them in any form that he can. And then they sort of find him later in the episode to the point where he's kind of contorted himself into a spiral.
Right.
Killing himself in the process. But just this image of this guy folded into a spiral. It is quite unsettling. But even in that first episode, there's a sense that it's just kind of jumping from scene to scene with no connective tissue.
Okay.
There's no real camera work. There's no real character work.
Okay.
If there is some sort of thematic undercurrent to everything, it's never explored or alluded to. And those pacing issues just get worse and worse as the episode goes on. If I showed you a random selection of clips from the show in a random order, they would have the same narrative cohesion as if you just watched the series start to finish.
Okay.
And again, I wonder if that's deliberate, whether the idea was like, oh, because, Spiral is obviously the thing we're building a show around. Yeah, we're going to kind of have this narrative going on like a spiral sort of journey where it's just getting quicker and quicker and quicker as we're quote unquote approaching the center of that spiral. But as a result of it, you can't really be scared of anything. Even though what you're seeing, you recognize like, oh, that's an objectively scary image. By the time you've started to process it, the show's moved on.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's a failure of the manga. Maybe it's the manga is more layered and more complicated, and the show is just kind of doing a highlights reel of the manga.
Yeah, I can't speak to the manga. Yeah. I get the impression that maybe they were trying to adapt everything.
Yeah,
I mean, they only had 4 episodes, and these are like half-hour episodes.
Well, look at Watchmen, the Snyder adaptation, which is... That's kind of doing everything from the graphic novel, basically.
Yeah.
And yet, it lacks all of the depth that the graphic novel has.
Because it doesn't have the time.
It doesn't have the time.
Yeah.
Well, and it's Zack Snyder.
Yeah, but, but even that aside, it really just doesn't have the time. And this does not know how to use its time well. And it's a real damn shame.
Right.
Because I think even if, pacing issues aside, I think even if the other episodes were more like the first episodes, probably would have been a lot better. Frankly, I think it's kind of unwatchable. It's that poorly paced. You're just watching imagery that's kind of moving by so quickly that you're not even able to appreciate it.
Okay. Well, it's unwatchable for me anyway, so...
Yeah. Well, okay, so I guess we'll end this little segment on that question.
Okay.
You're in that situation where you've made something. You've made the pilot of a 4-episode season, and you're put in a position where, look, you can either release nothing, release the pilot, or just struggle to finish it. What do?
And it's only 4 episodes.
It's only 4 episodes.
That's the entirety of the thing. It's a mini-series, essentially.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Maybe
release the pilot, but certainly not continue with it.
Yeah.
Not if it's like at half the budget, double the time.
Because I absolutely get it. I absolutely get the impulse of like, oh, we have to release this.
Yeah, of course.
We obviously like it. I assume they like it. I got the impression from what the executive producer said that they were happy with what they'd done before they had to struggle on. And you feel like you owe it to everyone else that's kind of part of that production to sort of get it out there in some shape or form.
Well, I would just hold out for maybe down the road you can get a better deal and you can kind of finish it the proper way. So, no. If it was a choice between sit on the pilot or just quickly do it now, no, sit on it.
Yeah.
Unless it was an ongoing series, in which case I might reason, okay, season 1, as hard as it is, it's going to be a write-off, and we're going to correct the course in season 2, But yeah, okay, is that it?
That's it.
Let's do some reviews, shall we?
Let's do it.
Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story.
I haven't watched this.
And nor should you.
Okay.
It's very much in vogue at the moment, this show. The actors playing the brothers are good. So do you know anything about the Menendez brothers?
A little bit. My mother watched this, so she's kind of been talking to me about it.
Okay.
Because she's into all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I think, she does, like, if she's watching a show about something, like when not the Kemper one, what was the one that...
Dharma.
Dharma, yeah, that's it. When the Dharma one was on, she was looking up Dharma and reading into it a lot. So she was kind of telling me that, I think these boys killed their parents.
Yeah.
But they were sort of the victim of abuse.
If you believe them,
from the father.
Yes.
And that kind of motivated their murders.
Yes.
And they're in prison, but there's some discussion about them maybe not being in prison anymore?
Probably because of this mini-series and a documentary series, and they're kind of back in the conversation.
Okay.
But yes, it does depend on whether you believe them or not. Yes, the actors playing them are good, but they do shout a lot.
Okay.
Particularly Lyle. They shout a lot.
Are they in situations where shouting is acceptable?
No, they're just kind of like angry rich kids.
Right.
And they scream and shout a lot. It's the second Ryan Murphy show to feature Robert Shapiro. Weirdly, this ends up being a pseudo-prequel to People vs. O.J. Simpson. The penultimate episode ends with, and the final episode begins with, basically an O.J. cameo. You don't see his face, but he's in it.
Okay.
Which is a bit tacky.
Yeah.
Ryan Murphy is a producing powerhouse. He has 11 ongoing shows that he is producing.
Wow.
He's credited with writing 2 episodes of this, but that's uncommon at this point. He does the occasional bit of writing and directing, but mostly he's an overseer now. So it's unclear how much direct involvement he has in a lot of his projects. But Monsters is definitely of a piece with other Ryan Murphy shows, so I think it's appropriate to discuss it in that context. Ryan Murphy shows don't do subtlety. And the style here, common across his work, creates a discomfort in that pain and gain way. It doesn't glorify what the brothers did, but there is a gratuitousness, especially in the gruesomeness of the murders, and even the descriptions thereof.
Okay.
So yeah, you see them killing the parents, and they do it with shotguns, right? And it's with like, I don't know, it's rocks, something. It's not like typical, shell casings or whatever.
Okay.
And they shoot the mother in the hand, and you see her fingers blow off, and she's screaming, and then they kill. They shoot the father in the face. You see like a hole blow in the side of his face. It's incredibly graphic, unclassy, basically.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is it sort of done as a way of kind of like, oh, look at what happened? Look at it's so tragic that it kind of.
I mean,
it's sort of horror. Like we're kind of making.
It's repulsive.
Yeah, we're sort of making you confront how horrible this was.
I think you could make that argument, but I don't think it's a very substantive one.
Okay, because of the way that it's.
Yeah,
presented.
it's a glossy show. It's a style that's cool, and I think that's inappropriate. I don't remember Dharma vividly, but I feel like it felt grim.
Okay.
This doesn't. People have problems with the existence of the Dharma show. Like, what are the ethics of that? How do you go about doing that? I think this will sit a lot more comfortably with people. And I can see that the details aren't quite as grim as the Dharma case. It'll be interesting to see how they handle Ed Gein. But I think that relative comfort is a problem. Ryan Murphy is clearly fascinated with the morbid and the grotesque and serial murder, as am I, as are loads of people. But the sheer volume of his projects creates the same impression that the Twisted Childhood universe does, which is, I love that one, I love that one,
right.
that one. There's a homoerotic streak early on in Monsters.
Okay.
Before that stuff becomes more explicit. By the way, I called Erik, the actor that played him was gay. He was like, definitely he's gay. And I was right. You think my gaydar's off, but it's so on. Now, Ryan Murphy is a gay man. Many of the criminals he depicts are gay, or more commonly have latent or repressed homosexuality. And of course, that's a factor with many serial killers. I'm not casting aspersions. I don't think there's a correlation between being gay and being homicidally inclined. Homo and homicide.
Oh.
I think a large part of this psychology is informed by growing up with homophobia, the shame that engenders, or even being sexually abused, and that creating a violent confusion around sexuality, which isn't to exonerate them. Anyhow, Ryan Murphy shows have a superficiality about them, and subtle, like I say. I liked People vs. O.J. Simpson, and it works with those early American horror stories. But Murphy's first major project was Nip Tuck, which was all about obsession with surface, but plastic surgeons, right? I've never seen it. I'm open to the possibility that the show unpacked that. Nevertheless, his style is gay.
Right.
Even if not explicitly. We've talked about shows like Younger and Sex and the City, appealing to gay men, even if the characters aren't gay and there's nothing explicitly gay about them. Ryan Murphy shows are gay.
Okay.
There's an ostentation, a slickness, a flippancy, period wigs, an 80s pop, dynamic camera work, zippy editing, and I don't think that suits stories like this.
Okay.
I think it risks fetishizing them. Do you remember ever walking away from a Ryan Murphy show thinking, gosh, I've just looked into the abyss?
It's been a long time since I've seen those early American Horror Story seasons. Yeah. And I'm very different now. My taste in TV is very different now than it was back then.
No, I like those shows.
Yeah.
They're grim. Like, especially Asylum. It can be very grim.
Yeah.
But it's not like, it doesn't traumatize you. Or it doesn't kind of leave you going, well, that was heavy.
Yeah.
You kind of go, ugh.
Okay.
Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's surface horror. And that's basically what this is. They're frankly a bit classless. Ryan Murphy is certainly one of the foremost practitioners of the copper age, which we've talked about before.
Oh yeah, copper age of TV.
And TV, yeah. If you're going to make a true crime film or TV show about real killers with real victims who have real families, you should think really hard about your reasons.
I think I saw an article saying that Ryan Murphy didn't interview the Menendez brothers when he was researching the show.
Well, okay.
And he was asked about it and he went, yeah, I had no interest in talking to them.
Okay.
And I think even if you've got an idea as to what you want that show to be, and even if you've done your research, surely just like the fact that they're real people. Even if
I care less about that. I
don't know. Just like even if it doesn't inform anything that you do. I mean, these are the lives of real people that are still alive.
I would talk to them, of course, if you could. But that's not my problem. My problem is that, the people they killed had other family members, and the people they killed were real people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying, like, you should do more research, because, look, the show ultimately, you could argue, comes down on their side. I'm just saying, if you're going to do something about true crime, that where real atrocity took place, you should think hard about why you're doing it, and cultivating an approach that's ethical and respectful. So going back to the zone of interest, that sits atop this pile, right, of course, for us now.
Yeah.
But also United 93. That film was released 5 years after 9/11, only 5 years. and it's a fucking harrowing experience.
Yeah.
But there's never any sense of exploitation. And I think you'd be lying to yourself if you took issue with the spirit of that film. I take issue with the spirit of Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story.
Okay.
One of the early episodes ends with Lyle saying, we were never going to let them hurt us again. And it shows the brothers buying shotguns and buckshot, that's what it is, and practicing at a range. The camera close on their faces, the flashes lighting their steely, rage-filled features. That works as a facsimile of the murders. That'll do.
Okay.
I actually don't need to see you blowing a hole in your father's face.
Okay.
That's clever editing and them saying that's like, right, I'm basically seeing them murdering. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At most, intercut it with them, driving home, looking at each other in the car with uneasy determination before they go into the house. There's a film called Nitram, I can't remember how it's pronounced, based on the Port Arthur massacre in Tasmania, which was carried out by Martin Bryant. The film's a psychological drama about this distressed guy leading up to the atrocity. The final scene is him retrieving he's in a cafe, he retrieves his rifle, he walks out of shot, and then we cut to a news report on TV about the crime as his mother, in his mother's house, as she smokes outside, oblivious of the report that's happening inside. If we're going to do this, there are ways of doing it.
Yeah.
What they go with here is a straight up, explicit, face blowing apart, fingers blowing off kill scene. Nathan Lane is in this. He plays a journalist.
Okay.
There's a scene where he brags about seeing the murder house to his socialite friends. It reminded me of the depiction of Truman Capote in Capote, who befriended these men on death row purely to get a good book out of it, who doesn't seem to really care about the victims or the impact it's had on the community. It can't help but make me think of Murphy himself, creating this stylized vision of sociopathy, of real sociopaths, while raking in the millions.
Okay.
Maybe I'm being too cynical and too precious, but still. The Menendez brothers claimed that they killed their parents because their father was sexually abusing them. And the mother either let it happen or may have done some things herself, it's never clear. The father, though, is really the accused. Some friends and family members have backed up this claim, saying the brothers told them about it, others have outright denied it, but there's no proof that any sexual abuse took place. I don't know whether it did. The brothers are the only ones left that know the truth, and there's certainly a lot of counter-evidence that the Nathan Lane character outlines as to why they're lying about that. And I don't know why I should believe them. All I know about them is that they murdered their parents, and inherited a fortune as a result.
Yeah.
I remain agnostic, but boy is the show obsessed with the sexual abuse stuff. We hear the descriptions of the abuse in graphic detail, sometimes accompanied with suggestive and evocative visuals. There's a lot of subjective POV in the show, dramatizations presenting what they're saying, right? So the show never opines strongly about the truth of the allegations, but God, does it feel like the program makers want it to be true.
Okay.
It has a prurient fascination with the abuse, and it becomes overwhelming, purely in its frequency. You just get sick of it. Not horrified, but full up.
Okay.
Hypothetical incest in various combinations and with various degrees of complicity. Oh, the mother watched. No, she did it sometimes. No, the father just did it. He did it this way, did it that way. It's obsessed with it. The veracity of the abuse claims is poured over, not just because of crude curiosity, but because how much blame we assign to the brothers is contingent on it, right? We'll ignore the free will debate because that's a can of worms. And if we had listeners, I know I'd catch shit for this. I've caught it before in a slightly different situation. If someone is being raped and they murder the rapist, fine. Or being held prisoner. Or anything with an immediate sense of self-defense. And if what the brothers allege is true, I'm sure a lifetime of abuse would produce a murderousness with which we can somewhat sympathise. And the parents would deserve it, actually. But I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Whether they were abused or not, they go to prison. At what point in the causation cascade does responsibility come? We are always passing the buck. Nathan Lane says it, I've said a version of it. Call me naive, call me callous. You know what I would say to the brothers? Leave.
Right.
Leave home. Move. They're rich kids. Move.
Okay.
And I know people are like, you can't just say that. No,
Yeah.
I would actually. Leave. Okay. Just leave. Episode 5 is a stylistic departure, but it maintains a look-at-me quality in its simplicity. So it's a single-shot episode, or the appearance thereof, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't. The camera focuses on Erik as he tells his lawyer about the abuse in great detail. Lyle has scenes in earlier episodes where he alleges abuse, and it adopts the style I talked about where it's, close-up, subjective reenactments. I just saw this episode as gold. This episode is the one that's kind of really trending at the moment. Just people saying, one of the best performances I've ever seen, and all that kind of thing. The goal to pay back that much when there's so much flash and excess elsewhere. This is not your get-out-of-jail-free card. There's also the fact that it's a performance piece that feels designed for awards, and that's annoying. Episode 6 does the requisite origin story of the immigrant parent that all these true crime things do now. It's representative of an endemic problem with these miniseries. Not enough content. There's not 9 hours here. Not nearly enough. And they prove that by revisiting the murders over and over and over again, and the sexual abuse over and over and over again, and going off on these flights of fancy where we see dramatizations of what they're telling their lawyers they thought their parents were going to do to them. And yeah, There's maybe a film in this. The silver lining for episode 6, however, is that it's a showcase for Javier Bardem, and he is just a brilliant actor. He really is, even in this.
Yeah.
The more time I spent with that family, especially considering the pretty narrow narrative, the sicker I got. It hits a critical mass around episode 7 where you really want it to be over. They bring in Paul Adelstein in the final episode to be the lawyer that seals their fate. And there is a real catharsis in hearing him present his case and rip them apart. But it wasn't worth the precedence of the proceeding. Not at all.
Is it supposed to be? Because you say that the show sort of comes down on their side.
I think you could decide where it comes down. But yes, it's like, I think the show believes the abuse. But then, Nathan Lane's saying, well, look, here's why that's bullshit. And he kind of outlines that. And then, Paul Adelstein is the lawyer that, gives the monologue that's they're scum, they should go to prison.
Yeah, and is that supposed to be cathartic, or was that just you? Because you weren't enjoying
I found
yourself?
it cathartic. I think, if you're landing on that side of it, it is meant to be your, the big catharsis. But the fact that the show has raised the spectre of, oh, maybe they should be released. The parents were, they were nasty. They still murdered them. Have we lost the thread here? It just makes no sense to me. So, I kind of hated it, to be honest.
Right, okay.
But yeah, that's that.
Okay, so not a recommendation.
Not a recommendation.
Okay, noted.
Alien Romulus.
Alan Romulus.
Alan Remus.
Alan Remus.
What's it about?
Alan Remus is a alien film. Mm-hmm. That's your plot.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is worth doing anything more than that, to be honest.
No, yeah. There's little bits and pieces which are kind of, it feels like it's sort of going on off in its own little direction.
Yeah.
There's more stuff on an asteroid base in the beginning that I think
a colony.
Yeah,
a
mining colony that we've usually get, or that we've had in previous Alien films, as far as I know. But yeah, they go to a ship because they want to get away from the mining colony.
Yes.
But they can't actually get there because they don't have the necessary fuel for cryosleep to make the journey. So they go on to... This was interesting, though, because it's Romulus and Remus, isn't it? That's the space station they go to.
It's split in half, isn't it?
Yeah.
In 2 halves, and one is Romulus, one is Remus.
So I don't know why it's taken the name Romulus.
It's a better title.
But I think they do go over to Remus a couple of times.
Maybe. If it's mostly Romulus, fair enough.
I don't know. It was just like a detail. I was like, oh, I wonder why that's there. I wonder why it's called Alien Romulus, but the station they spend the film on is Romulus Remus.
You can't call a film Alien Romulus Remus, can
No,
you?
well, why call it Remus at all? Why don't just call it Romulus?
The whole thing, you mean?
Yeah.
Maybe there's some... I mean, you know who Romulus and Remus are, obviously.
Yeah.
Founded Rome, so maybe there's some stupid metaphor, blah, blah, in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably. But yeah, no, they go onto this space station, and it turns out that it's been ravaged by aliens.
Yeah.
And there are still some there.
Right, is it... What's going on with... Do they go on the Nostromo? Is that what happens?
No, that's what Romulus Remus is. That's where all the stuff is.
So the Nostromo has landed there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's worth saying that this takes place before Alien 2, but after Alien 1, right?
Yeah. In like the immediate aftermath of Alien, basically.
Yeah. So the alien that she ejected ends up here?
I don't know all that. All I know, Ian Holm, famously, it pops up in this.
Yes.
But like where we left him in Alien, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is very soon after, I think.
Yeah.
But I was never clear on how they ended up there. But yeah, so it's like a big docking station, is it? And
yeah.
The Nostromo is docked there.
I don't know if the Nostromo was even involved.
I don't know.
Yeah, they've picked up aliens. I think they went after they went after the Nostromo. They went because they let out like a distress call or something.
Yes.
And they encountered aliens.
Okay.
And the aliens have taken over the ship.
Okay. Right. Yeah, that's the plot.
Okay.
Whenever a reboot or some such throwback uses practical effects and, production design instead of CG, it's praised.
Yeah.
Have we just not learned our lesson by now? Culturally?
More respect.
Well, just do that. Every time a film does it, oh my god, it actually had practical effect. We obviously long for it
Yeah.
as a culture.
Well, it must just not be practical.
It's not
ironically.
cost effective, probably. Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of the alien stuff in this does look pretty good. Like, the practical alien stuff.
And the sets.
Look great. It does feel like this sort of desolate place.
Yeah, it does.
But I think all of that's kind of for naught when you have CGI Ian Holm show up.
I guess we'll come to that.
Yeah.
But, so Katie Spaney is the lead in this. I like Katie Spaney.
She's good.
And I liked Katie Spaney. But she's not Ripley.
No, but, I mean, we can't just be trying to do Ripley every time. You know?
But they are.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That is the problem. But yeah, the franchise needs to go beyond Ripley if it wants to become a franchise.
I would agree.
That's lasting beyond Sigourney Weaver.
I would concur with that assessment.
Yeah.
David Johnson, who's like the synth, I think, is that what they called in this?
Oh, yeah.
Or was that Blade Runner? I don't know. He was decent.
Yeah.
But the reviews had me expecting much more of him.
Okay.
The reviews like, oh, he's 5 out of 5. He's amazing. He's Oscar worthy, that kind of thing. He's not. It's because they say, oh, he essentially plays 2 different roles. He doesn't. He changes.
Yeah.
But it's not like a massive departure where it's one's black and one's white. It's one's orange and one's red. You know, it's not like fundamentally different.
It's still different.
Yeah, but so what? Like that's, you know, oh, I'm angry. No, I'm sad. There you go. Give me an Oscar.
Okay.
And also he does
No.
You don't have one.
I don't.
He does look vaguely constipated throughout it, didn't you think? He's got that same expression. It's like, Is like his features a bit screwed up, and like the rest of the crew is pretty forgettable. I literally can't remember.
Yeah, but I mean they're supposed to be, right?
You say that, right? But Aliens, that's not the case. Or Alien, that's not the case.
Yeah.
You remember the other members of the crew.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, you can't say that about the first 2 Aliens. Using Ian Holm was a gratuitous misfire.
Yes.
But I didn't take as much offense to it as others have. It's been described as a cameo. It's not a cameo.
No, he's a supporting character.
It's a supporting role, yeah. Which mediates the sense of being shoved in for me.
Yeah, and he does, like he's in the same room as the characters a couple of times.
Yeah.
But he does spend a lot of his screen time on a screen.
Yeah.
And I think it looks better there. Because you've got that kind of like futuristic CRT technology that the Alien universe has. So it's a distorted image. It kind of hides the ropiness.
Yeah.
Of the
But
CG.
also, if you watch like any from the 30s or 40s, you know, you really should be watching it on an old TV.
Yeah.
Because watching it on a new TV is going to flag up all these issues with it.
But yeah, we can go into the sort of morality of bringing actors back from the dead to play like roles in franchises like this. But I mean, just as an experience outside of that, you notice it. We noticed it with Grand Moff Tarkin. We noticed it here.
It's gotten a lot better.
It's got better, but
much better.
But we're still not there.
No, we're not there. And look, as a rule of thumb, I don't do it.
Yeah.
I would never do it, as a rule.
Yeah.
But now that I have done it, I will say I'm not as offended as other people are. Like, oh my god, I can't believe you... Just a pop-up, how, like... That's not. He is actually key to what happens in the film.
He is key to what happens, but at the same time, I don't know, because I'm not massively familiar with the Alien lore and franchise and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I never got the impression that the artificial people are all the same person. I think they are different in every film, right?
What do you mean, literally? Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, the actors playing them. It's not like Data from Star Trek, where all of them look like the actor that plays Data. Right. They're different actors all the time, because they make different models of these artificial people.
Yeah.
So it's not as if, it has to be Ian Holm because it doesn't make sense in the continuity that this synth would look different.
But that is Ian Holm from Alien. That's him from
Alien. Literally the same character?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's literally...
Did it need to be then?
No, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I would never do that. It's horrible.
Is it plot crucial that it has to be the same androids?
But they're on the Nostromo, aren't they?
No, they're not. That's the thing. This is the discussion we just
remember.
had, Sam.
Yeah, no, but that's why I was confused, because that's him from Alien on the Nostromo. So I assume they end up on the Nostromo.
No, they're on Romulus Remus. That's the space station this film takes place on.
Yeah, right.
The Nostromo doesn't come into it. As far as I remember, the Nostromo is not in Alien.
Right,
Romulus.
okay, so the Ian Holm we meet in this is not the Ian Holm that's in Alien.
Potentially.
It's another model.
Yeah, in the same series.
Right, in which case, yes, it's more gratuitous.
Okay.
Yes. In which case, absolutely, I would say... Well, yeah, that makes it worse.
Yeah.
That makes it, another synth, another... We should look into that.
Yeah, if I am wrong,
Yeah,
and if it is actually supposed
an
to be
alien,
literally the same synth,
Yeah.
the question still remains, did it have to be?
And to be fair, I can't remember exactly Alien well enough to be certain of it. But in Alien, he does get bisected.
Yeah.
And that's how we find him in this. So it is like, that is just him, right?
Yeah, okay.
So,
right.
but neither of us know. So, but yes, I would say perversely for me, the fact that it was a bigger role than a cameo made me more okay with it. Because like, it wasn't disposable. It wasn't throwaway. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
But they do also bring back Get Away From Her, You Bitch, which was pretty much the film's bummest note.
Yeah.
And was delivered with a stiltedness that suggested that was understood, at least by the actor.
It's weird though, because I think they do try and contextualize it. Yeah, because some of the supporting characters are not very nice to the android character, and they say like bitch and stuff all the time. And so I think when he says "Get away from her, you bitch," it's the android kind of repeating what he's learned.
It's supposed to make sense. It's not. He's not referencing Ripley in Aliens,
but he is.
But
but
like,
we know he is.
Yeah, but he is, and it's delivered with a way. You could say, he's unconfident in it because it's new to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's delivered like, do I have to do this? That's how it comes across. Get away from her, you bitch.
Yeah.
And he looks kind of pained that he has to do it, and I agree. I didn't particularly care about seeing the new stages of alien gestation. That's one of the big things people who like the film have said. Like,
okay.
We haven't seen this stage before. I don't.
Well, that's the thing, because I'm not keeping up with the Alien films.
Yeah.
For all I know, we could have seen all of this before.
Exactly.
This could just be how an alien is.
Frankly, the same. Like, I'm a big fan of the first two Alien films.
Yeah.
And that's it, really. You know, though Noah Hawley's got the show coming. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. See what he does with that.
Alien Earth, isn't it? The highlight for me was the floating acid sequence.
Yeah.
It's not executed with any kind of revolutionary style or skill, but I thought it was a neat idea.
It's using what you've got, isn't it? I don't know if they've done a similar thing in the past, but it's the type of sequence that when I saw it, I thought, oh yeah, why haven't we done that before?
Yeah, as far as I know, acid in the past has always just been used
as a reason not to kill the alien.
Well, if they shoot one in close quarters, they get stung with the acid.
Yeah.
I don't think they've done anything like that before. It's like, okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's clever. That's kind of all I got to say, other than must all Alien films be this?
Okay.
Because they all kind of are that.
Yeah.
Even Alien Isolation is that. I know it's a well-reviewed game and everything.
Yeah. Well, I think it's different because you're playing that.
Of course, yeah, of course. But the story is essentially the same thing.
And I think since it came out, they've done a VR version, which I imagine is quite good.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's different, and it should exist as it is.
Yeah.
But the story is the same, is my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because that's where Alien works. And we haven't found a way of making Alien work outside of that. No. Which begs the question, does that mean that Alien can't work outside of that and we should stop trying? Or have we just not been trying hard enough?
It's just that thing of Alien has to be certain things. It has to be this. Well, what if it's not? Again, we'll see what Alien Earth is like. But is that it for Alien?
I think so. You complained off mic to me before about how red this film is.
Oh, yeah, it's too orange.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too much orange. I know it's going for that aesthetic. It's like that. This is the palette of this film.
Yeah, and
there's just orange light everywhere.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's always diegetic. It's not like a creative decision.
No,
it does actually.
Yeah. But it's always diegetic, but also it's an aesthetic affectation at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, he's on the street where all the lampposts are red. Like, yes, it is diegetic, but it's also an imposition.
Okay.
It's not like they would all be like this, you know? Yeah, too much orange for me.
Okay.
I wasn't a big fan of that. And you do settle into appreciating the production design. Like, the whole film, I was like, oh, that looks really good. That mining colony really looks good. I mean, like, I shouldn't still be doing this after an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But you are. So, yeah, that's it, I guess. Okay, Beetlejuice. Say it.
Yeah.
Say it. What's it about?
Oh, okay. How many years? I think it's the same amount of years as it's been since the first Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah, so like almost 40.
Yeah, 40 years since the original Beetlejuice. Winona Ryder has child now. Mm-hmm. Doesn't like her. The child doesn't like her. She moves back to the place that the first Beetlejuice took place in, the same house. I can't remember if it's for a wedding or for a funeral or for both.
I think it's initially for a funeral.
Oh yeah, it's initially for a funeral, and then Justin Theroux
proposes to her,
and it turns into a wedding. Yeah. Yes, that is correct. They move back. She starts seeing visions of Beetlejuice. It's kind of like stirring things up for her. Jenna Ortega, who plays her daughter, tries to stay away from all the family proceedings, but then she ends up finding a boy that she likes.
Yeah.
And then revelations come out regarding him. And because of that, they end up having to get Beetlejuice involved in their affairs again. And Beetlejuice has got his own little plot going on where he's got like his ex-wife.
Ex-wife is after him, and
and also Willem Dafoe. He keeps being handed coffee, but then disposes of the coffee.
yeah. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot to this, and there needn't be, I think.
Well, okay. I think off the bat, let's say it's pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't not enjoy myself. I thought it was a decent time.
Same. Yeah. It's pretty good. And I recognise that Beetlejuice is a classic, but I never fell in love with it. I saw it only relatively recently.
Yeah.
I just didn't fall in love with it. I remember, the salient icons like the Banana Boat song, but I wouldn't have picked up on all the little callbacks that this does.
No.
Just the obvious ones. The name Beetlejuice is hard to divorce from Lester Green now.
For you.
For me.
Yeah.
And obviously he's so named for having a small head, like those characters.
Yeah, in the film, yeah.
I think he was owed a role, damn them.
Oh, I don't know.
How awesome would it have been to have Beetlejuice in this?
I mean, I mean, if this film was made a good few years ago, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he's out of the public eye now, isn't he?
Yeah. Is he even a part of the Howard Stern mythology anymore?
They talk to him like every 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
I think his mother was like, okay, we're going to move back to Georgia and live away from all that stuff, You see him every now and again, he seems happy, and that makes me happy.
Yes.
Because I love Beetlejuice. I really love him as a human being.
Did you look up? Do you see whether you could still hire him or something? Because you used to be able to hire him out, didn't
back
you?
in the Dwarf-Tossing Days.
Yeah. Not for that, just as like a... I wonder if I could still...
I could still just talk to him.
Yeah.
I think he did cameos maybe at one point, probably. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But no, he's... I definitely have to remind myself all the time the life expectancy of people with his condition.
Yes.
I think it's relatively normal, actually. I think.
Okay.
Because, him, Stephen Fry, David Jason, when they die, those days for me will be hard.
Yes.
The day the Beetlejuice... He can't die. Anyway. Michael Keaton, he still has enough energy to sell that role.
Yep.
Catherine O'Hara excels at playing those characters. Justin Theroux with a ponytail was effectively repulsive.
Yes.
Jeffrey Jones was never going to be allowed back. He's a registered sex offender. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I knew about that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, that, they didn't write that character out immediately. That character is still technically in the film.
They also did the character dirty, though, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, with how they killed him and all that kind of thing.
But he is, he's his own little subplot, that character.
The animation was fun. I will say that.
Yeah.
About him. But they did do that character dirty.
Yeah.
It's like Charlie Sheen in it in 2.5 Men. Where didn't he die in some stupid...
Yeah, yeah. I think Rose, it was like you've seen 2.5 Men.
Yeah,
so you know who Rose is. I think she kills him. She pushes him in front of a train or something.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's another film, and indeed another Tim Burton film featuring teenagers that read Crime and Punishment and listen to old vinyls. In my review of Humanist, Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person, we speculated about an English language remake starring Jenna Ortega. She's basically playing that character in this, which is to say Jenna Ortega.
Yeah.
In this, she's literally dating a ghost.
Yes.
It doesn't get
more... She didn't know at the time, though.
She doesn't know at the time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get more gothic and new romantic than that.
No.
It would be nice to see her doing something new now.
Do you think she would?
Well, she did
didn't she? You know?
What?
Why would you?
Integrity.
Does she have that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know nothing about Jenna Ortega.
I don't know anything about her personally.
Yeah.
I mean, other than, she was an ex doing a sex scene that now people are like... She became Jenna Ortega after that. So people are like, oh, it's weird to go back to that. And, well, she's an actress,
Well, because she didn't she present an award with Aubrey Plaza?
Probably that.
I can't remember what the award was or what the ceremony was, but they did a little bit. Where obviously because they're both
dead-eyed.
Yeah, monotone, miserable looking.
Latina kind of.
Yeah, so they kind of they were both just kind of staring out to the crowd, and in that very monotone, sarcastic way, they were like, "I have no idea why they paired us up together." No, I can't think why.
Yeah.
And I guess she's kind of like Aubrey Plaza in the sense that she's kind of found
her niche.
Yeah,
but Aubrey Plaza does do things outside of that.
Well, that's why I brought her up, because I think Aubrey Plaza does still.
Well, Aubrey Plaza is entering her lesbian phase.
Okay.
Of films. Yeah, she's obviously in Agatha All Along, which is gay, and now she's in the next Ethan Coen film, which is the second in a lesbian B-movie trilogy.
Right, okay.
Follow up to Driveway Dolls, which also has Margaret Qualley in it, but Aubrey Plaza's in that.
Okay.
So she's in her lesbian... I think she's bisexual.
Right.
So she's doing her lesbian roles now.
Okay.
Anyway. The visual effects were fun. I liked the cinematography and the aesthetic.
Yeah.
I really appreciated the plastic reality and the analog texture. Not VHS, but real.
Yeah, no, it definitely worked to its advantage. Because that's the thing, I think in previous Tim Burton films, especially modern Tim Burton films, they have been a bit overbearing with their style. It worked for Beetlejuice. I think maybe because it's so fantastical by design.
Yeah, it's so insane. And
yeah. And it's probably worth acknowledging as well, because we've openly said on this podcast, we're sick of the corporatized afterlife bureaucratic trope.
Yeah.
And this is that.
In a way, yeah.
In a way, but it's sort of completely its own take on that.
Also, it predates all the stuff we are talking about.
And it does predate the stuff that we were talking about, yeah. But yeah, I was fine with all of that. Because I'd forgotten what the original Beetlejuice was like.
Yeah.
I knew he like there was some stuff in the afterlife.
Yeah.
But I thought he was like a demon or something.
Yeah, kind of.
I didn't know that he was like, he was just like a figure of the afterlife and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's very cluttered.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it, you know?
Yeah, and they commit to the analog thing wholeheartedly as well.
Yeah, and that was really nice to see, yeah.
It's gross as well in that childish, icky way.
Yeah.
Which is nice, and, slime and the like. Pure Halloween fodder. When he's released, Beetlejuice announces the juice is loose.
Yeah.
It makes you reflect on just how long it's been since the original came out. OJ killed Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman 6 years after the original.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, so that reference has been sitting on the shelf for 30 years.
Oh, was this not... Okay, so he didn't say that in the original Beetlejuice?
I don't think he did.
Okay.
I don't think he did. I think the juice is loose originates with OJ and the Bronco fleeing from the police.
That's interesting, because I would have sworn that, that was a reference to the original that I just didn't get.
Maybe it is, but I'm pretty sure the juice is loose was the newspaper headline in 94 when OJ was on the run from the cops.
Okay.
Yeah, because OJ was known as the Juice as well, so, no, I don't think so. It's like, okay, raising the spectre of OJ Simpson, that's interesting. There's some anti-New Age and some anti-woke stuff in there. Mm-hmm. The Soul Train.
People have brought this up.
It feels like a response to the criticism of Tim Burton. Which
does it?
No. Which he doesn't have black characters. I'm sure it isn't that.
Yeah.
But it's funny when you consider it in that context.
Okay.
I'm not saying it is that. I'm sure I'm no reason to suspect he has any bigotry in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he has said before, I don't use black... I actually don't know what he said, whether it's been misstated or whatever. But the gist of it is, I like kind of old school gothic contrast between black and white. So I have white actors and kind of noir lighting and everything. So I don't tend to use black actors.
Yeah.
And some people haven't liked that. And in this, there's a sequence that's the only sequence with black people in it, which is like an episode of The Soul Train from the 70s.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is him going, oh, you want black characters, or have that then. But to me, it's funny if you consider it that way.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
but I mean, that scene, it's very in keeping with the film's sense of humour, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Just like the type of jokes that Beetlejuice is making.
Yeah.
Where he's he dresses up a therapist and goes, right, I'm going to spill my guts here. And then he opens up his chest and all his
It's just making metaphors literal, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, we're going to hell on the Soul Train. And then it cuts to all of these, black people.
With afros.
With afros dancing to soul music.
To soul music, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, all right, that's what...
No, I agree.
The level the film is operating.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's funny if you think of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. It's definitely a faithful sequel. It takes a while to land on what the story is.
Yeah.
But when it gets going... I did enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah, all of the ex-wife stuff ended up kind of being a big nothing.
It did, yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing, because that sequence where she's sort of assembling herself was quite fun.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is going to be... I'm going to like this character. And then we only see her once or twice before the finale.
Yeah.
And all she really does is turn people into accordions, because she sucks life force out of them. They all
Monica
crumple up.
Bellucci, yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely some stuff that atrophies because it's not getting... The film doesn't have time to pay attention to it.
I think it wanted to do a lot and juggle a lot. But when they end up settling on, you have to go to the afterlife to rescue, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, fine. I like it now. It knows what it's doing.
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend it.
I would as well.
It's not great.
No, it's just solid.
Yeah, it's absolutely solid. It's just a good time. Even if you view it through an objective lens, it's like, oh yeah, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. But it still works regardless.
Yes, it does. Speak No Evil.
Yes, I also haven't seen this.
You haven't seen this.
So this is on you.
Okay, well, this is a remake of a 2022 Danish film.
Okay.
It's about a couple on holiday with their daughter, befriend another couple, a holiday friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go home, and James McAvoy, who plays the father in the other family, they send him a postcard saying, you should come stay with us in the country. And they're having kind of marital difficulties, so they decide, okay, yeah, we'll go and spend the weekend or whatever with them, some time with them. And when they get there are things that are slightly weird, and these passive-aggressive behaviours, and escalating kind of over-the-line social things. And then gradually it all spirals out of control and reveals this very sinister plot. Right. It's a decent cast.
Yeah, James McAvoy, right?
Yes. The film reunites Mackenzie Davis and Scoot McNairy, who were co-stars in *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Okay.
James McAvoy is a compelling screen presence. I don't know what accent he's doing. Devon, I guess.
Right.
I don't know how accurate it is, and it's not totally distracting, but it's hard to unnotice. Like, he's doing something weird.
Yeah.
Aisling Franciosi, who plays his wife, is hot, and also a good actress.
Oh, okay.
In order of importance. It's nicely awkward. The central dialogue of both films is, why are you doing this? Because you let me. Or us, in this case. It's a tragedy of manners. For optimal realism, the central couple should have been British, the baddie's American. In this remake, the good guys, if you like, are American, and James McAvoy and his wife are British.
Okay.
And I think we are much more preoccupied with etiquette. So I think it would have worked if the main couple been British and Americans been the hosts.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
For pretty mainstream psychological horror, it takes a surprisingly long time to properly get into it. The final act is a version of Straw Dogs, which was also set in the West Country. Maybe an homage? I don't know.
Okay.
I saw the original when it came out, but my memories of it were foggy, so I rewatched it to refresh. It's natural to infer a higher quality because it's a foreign language film, and a European one, no less, which we think of as classy. The director of the original slammed Americans for being obsessed with the heroic narrative. Look, we can all make fun of Americans, but this is the kind of thing you hear from filmmakers that have had their work remade. But there are plenty of cynical, relentlessly miserable American movies too.
Yeah.
The two films are ultimately offering different experiences, so they follow the same beats for the most part, and then diverge in the third act. But here are some other differences. In the original, the wife, the main wife, had an affair, and that's put a strain on the marriage, right?
Okay.
In the remake, they were just sexting.
Right.
In the original, the little girl ends up in bed with the other family because she's crying in the night, and then the mother doesn't hear her, so the other mother comes and gets her. In the original, the guy has his arse on display when the mother goes into the bedroom to find her daughter. Not suggesting anything sexual took place, just deeply inappropriate and uncomfortable. In the remake, he has his boxers on.
Right.
McAvoy, in this, recites the entirety of Philip Larkin's This Be the Verse. You probably know it's They Fuck You Up Your Parents. Do you know that poem? They might not mean to, but they do.
Oh, right, yeah.
But in their time, they were fucked up, yeah. Which was heavy-handed. But it suggests an unhappy, possibly abusive upbringing. There's not even a whiff of context in the original as to why he might be like that.
Okay.
Because You Let Me is a retort meant to conjure utter nihilistic despair, right? In The Strangers, the response to why you're doing this is because you were home. In The Strangers Chapter 1, I think it's because we can. In Michael Haneke's Funny Games, it's why not? The point is there was clearly an impulse in the remake to at least suggest a causality and to make the central couple more likeable.
Why?
They can't. Why? What now?
Why do that?
Because it's an American film. And, okay, we don't want the wife to have had an affair because audiences won't like her.
Okay.
If she was just sexting, okay, we can understand that would cause problems in the marriage, but we can forgive her for that. They can overcome that. If she fucked someone else, we're going to hate her from the off.
Okay.
That would be the producer kind of impulse. So there's that. And yeah, it's like, oh, we don't want that they're doing it for no reason. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, no. Suggest that he had like an unhappy childhood or something like that. You know what I mean? That's slightly more mainstream.
Okay.
Kind of it needs a context to it. So yes, it's definitely more sanitized. And I can understand taking issue with that to some extent. In the end, the remake emerges as a psychological thriller that turns into a survival thriller. The original is a psychological thriller that turns into miserable horror. The latter is more philosophically pure. It's taking politeness and the self-denial of civility to an extreme endpoint. That endpoint is the evil couple drowning their son, kidnapping the other couple's daughter after cutting out her tongue, and stoning the couple to death after making them strip nude.
Okay.
In the remake, they fight back, they kill the bad guys, rescue the son, and they all survive, right?
Right.
Much more American.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think on most fronts, the remake is an improvement. The music of the original forecasts horrible happenings right from the off. Even when nothing's going on. It's like, this is a horror film. In the remake, the film lets the passive aggressiveness mount and mount without help from the score. In the remake, it makes much more sense that they'd go and stay with the family because they spend more time with them beforehand. In both films, after the mum discovers the little girl in bed with the other family, they leave without saying anything, but have to go back for the girl's toy bunny. She's left her bunny behind. In the original, the evil couple just apologises to them and kind of half explains away what was going on. In the new one, the evil mum tells them that she lost a baby daughter, and when she heard their daughter crying, she had to go and get her. Now that equally generates sympathy for her and creates a feeling of guilt to make them stay, right? It makes more sense that they would stay. The age gap between the evil couple in the remake suggests that she may have been his first victim that he has since groomed, which is a nice just detail. In the original, the focus is really on the father struggling with his masculinity. His wife's cheated on him. The remake makes it more of a two-hander. Of course, you have to credit the original with being the original, for having the ideas, and it is more biting and callous and thematically going one way. So the image of the couple after they've been made to strip nude in the cold night is striking, not just for the indecency, but the crystallization of self-abnegation, of completely laying oneself bare for other people.
Oh, right, so it's like the thematic zenith of...
Yeah, it's like you've taken it to its end point,
Yeah.
I have to confess, neither film did much for me, really, but sometimes after an hour and a half or 2 hours of discomfort, it's nice to have a happy ending. It depends what mood you're in. Most days, I would go back to the remake, but I admire the purity of the original.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Okay, so you said that there are things that the remake does well.
Does better.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a place for both of them, or do you prefer one over the other? I know you just kind of said you'd go back to the remake more, but I guess objectively...
I think the original is a better film.
Okay.
A better thing. It has an idea and it takes it to its nasty conclusion.
Yeah.
And this is more of kind of mainstream psychological thriller, and then they get the upper hand and they kill the bad guys, and it's a lot more like, yay at the end. Which I can understand people being sniffy about. But I would... Sometimes you want a happy ending, because you've earned it by sitting through 2 hours of very unpleasant, where's this going?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the fact of it, is I am a human being. And sometimes I want the good guys to win.
Okay.
So, I would recommend them, just to see what you think. But, yeah, that's kind of it for Speak No Evil.
All right, then.
The Substance. What's this about?
Yeah. The film stars Demi Moore in a body horror film. Because I think that's what this is, isn't it?
That's what it is?
Definitely what it is. Yeah, she is a Hollywood actress, a now aging Hollywood actress who's kind of lost her shine as far as the industry is concerned. And she is confronted with the opportunity of taking the substance, which will make her young and beautiful and desirable again. So she does that, and it quite literally produces a young, desirable version of herself.
Yes.
How much do we say about, how much do we go into the plot?
Well, I think we're going to be talking about the end and spoilers and everything.
Okay, so this is a spoiler review.
Yes.
Yeah, spoiler review. Go watch it?
Yeah.
Yes,
she essentially gives birth to Margaret Qualley.
Yeah.
Who then kind of takes over her place, her show, and things kind of spiral out of control.
Yeah, they sort of have to do it on a rota, don't they?
Yeah, they have to rotate. You get a few days out, and then you have to swap.
Yeah, in order for the substance to do its thing, basically the original version of you has to be awake for 7 days.
Yeah.
And then you kind of swap with the other version of you. They're awake for 7 days, during which time the other one is sort of comatose. And if you don't adhere to that system, then there are ramifications.
Yes.
Physical ramifications.
Which you, of course, know are coming.
Yes.
This is the writer-director, I think it's Coralie Fargeau.
Okay. What are they?
French.
All right.
Yeah. It's her second film. Her first film was Revenge from 2017, which I remember enjoying. It's a rape and revenge movie.
Yeah.
David Cronenberg...
Why didn't she call it Rape and Revenge, Sam?
Much harder to market, I would imagine.
For the French? I don't know.
Well, are the French into rape?
I don't know. But I feel like they would have been, oh, yes.
The French are into being raped. It's different.
Oh, are they? Okay. I didn't know that. I just thought, like, Rape and Revenge, they'd be like, yes, artistic integrity. We shall...
Rape and revenge.
Yeah. We shall endorse this.
Yeah, David Cronenberg is the touchstone, really.
Yeah.
It's a high...
And definitely that, because I worry sometimes that he's just like the easy go-to example when you're talking about body horror stuff.
But... Yes, but he is the body horror guy. That's the thing. Body horror really means David Cronenberg. It does. Everything's kind of in the wake of him. It's a high concept body horror film with much gore and grue, particularly in the back end. Just a smidge of Lynch too.
Okay.
Obviously with the basic level of surrealism, but the finale's monster put one in mind of the Elephant Man.
Okay. Yeah, actually, no, thinking of Lynch, I don't know if this is reflective of his work necessarily, but yeah, there's an a-realism to the world, isn't there?
A surrealism.
A surrealism, I suppose. I guess by a-realism I just meant that, it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah, like her apartment just seems like a bit too big.
The bathroom, certainly.
And like the corridors around the apartment. Just like, well, you wouldn't have corridors this long in this apartment. The building that she works in, that kind of like infinite corridor that everyone's kind of walking down all the time, and just how garish it all is.
I wouldn't say that's quite Lynch. That's more Kubrickian.
Okay.
But, obviously just a basic level of oddness.
Yeah, imprinting on the reality of the work.
And things being off. Yeah. It's 2.5 hours in length. You get the point pretty instantly.
Yeah.
And 2.5 hours is the runtime of an A movie. For all of its qualities, this is a B movie. It's an A-B movie, you know?
Yeah, it's incredibly well-made B movie.
Yes, yeah. I will say, however, that it is a pretty sprinting story. It's not that there's an abundance of superfluous material, considering it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have spent slightly less time gawking at Margaret Qualley.
I mean, that was all right.
No, I know that's the point.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, if you're going to cut it, that's really the only place I could think. Because the story is pretty... it just runs along, doesn't it? It's basically a grotesque version of The Nutty Professor.
Right, okay.
But concerned with age as well as appearance.
Yeah.
Like Love Lies Bleeding, also from this year, there's a great deal of focus on skin and young bodies glistening. In this case, though, it's not showcasing and emboldening and underlining muscularity, but pulchritude. Even Margaret Qualley's natural figure was augmented with prosthesis, so fake breasts.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was very surprised. Yeah. Because, I mean, this film should get makeup at the Oscars.
It should.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And I would have said that just for, like, the creature design.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the fact that you can't even tell that she's been physically augmented.
Yeah, so she better embodied the ideal beauty standard. I saw... I'm not usually a meme person, but I saw one earlier. It was like, when someone told me that her breasts were fake, and it's Al Pacino from The Irishman going, "Why you tell me that, you fucking..."
I mean, the film's still there.
No, I know, yeah.
It's not as if we can never have that again.
It's not like she's unattractive.
Yeah, also that, yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of discussion these days, shouting, about privilege. This film actually unpacks to varying extents the most important, genuinely important, which is wealth, age, and attractiveness.
Yeah.
They're actually the three most important. If we're going to talk about privilege,
yes,
they're the three most important. It features two rather unrestrained performances from Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley.
Yeah.
And in the former's case, rather unflattering too. It's basically Demi Moore's The Wrestler.
Yeah, this was very good performance by her.
No, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gave herself to this film.
Yeah.
And it did occur to me that it's been a very long time since I'd seen her in a new film. I actually don't know how long it's been.
Yeah.
Like Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, maybe?
Right.
2004?
Yeah, maybe like a nice little bit of, kind of, again, reality imprinting on the film.
No,
the fact that we haven't really seen Demi Moore.
No, exactly.
And the film is about the fact that she's kind of faded into obscurity.
No, 100%. It's the whole, like, role you were born to play sort of thing.
Yeah.
Same with Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler. Same with, like, to an extent, Jean-Claude Van Damme in JCVD. It's, like, using the fact that they're not what they used to be.
Yeah.
To great effect. Dennis Quaid was nicely repulsive.
The film really commits to making him feel disgusting,
Gross,
isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, it says something when, this is a film about body horror, in which, you see a person literally be born out of somebody else's back.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most disgusting things in the film is just watching Dennis Quaid eat shrimp.
Yeah. Yeah, seafood. Just muscles.
Yeah, genuinely repulsive.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, I don't eat seafood.
Yeah.
I think I would struggle to eat seafood after watching that
Is it
scene.
not that perverse supersize me thing, though? We're like, oh, I really fancy seafood now.
I mean, maybe you'd have to be into seafood to answer that question. But yeah.
So there's another Demi Moore film that made me want to eat seafood. A Few Good Men. There's a scene with him and I think him and Demi Moore go on a date to like a seafood restaurant, and they're smashing up the shellfish and like, that looks really nice. Right. I really want to do that. Naming Harvey was a bit on the nose, though, wasn't it? Do you think?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's in no way resembles.
Doesn't physically resemble him, no, but he's meant to be that kind of character.
I guess. But yeah, I mean, he leers over Margaret Qualley, but I never got the sense that he was like trying to bed her.
No, he's not literally a rapist like Harvey Weinstein. But obviously, you name the producer character Harvey. Yeah. You're saying something.
I just thought that was interesting, given what the film is sort of talking about. Mm-hmm. The producer character doesn't seem to actually be making a movie.
Well, I don't know. He certainly leers
the neighbor
over her.
is.
He certainly wouldn't turn her down. Yeah, the neighbor definitely is.
Yeah.
No, he's more like, oh, let's exploit your beauty and your youth and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. I mean, all the men are pretty ridiculous, which is to be expected.
Yeah.
I understand the freneticism of the direction and the editing, but it's not entirely to my taste.
Okay.
Like, it worked. It's not a problem with the film.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not 100% my thing. But it does help that runtime zip along, though.
Yeah.
You're never bored. The makeup and the prosthetics are really the MVPs.
Yeah.
They're fantastic and should win awards.
I think the cinematography as well.
Very good.
Because, I mean, many times we've said on this podcast, we're kind of living in the age where good cinematography, we need to kind of
raise the
we need to raise the bar on when we
yeah.
use that, because most films look good now.
Yeah.
It's actually noteworthy when cinematography is not good.
Yes.
In films over a certain
budget and
quality. But this really does. This is a really well shot film.
No, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're gonna say like I think they have a category. Maybe it's like the London Film Critics, where they all do like technical award. And they'll have like 10 nominees. One will be a music supervisor. One will be a cinematographer. So you'll have, the cinematography of Dune, the sound design of The Zone of Interest.
How could you possibly...
No, I know. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pick one thing from this film, it would be the makeup, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think...
But the cinematography is worth singling out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, after her second mutation, Demi Moore reminded me of Ellen Burstyn in Requiem for a Dream.
Okay.
So it was nice that when I read up about some of the details, I saw that stage was indeed referred to as Requiem. So
right.
I think it's like hand. Hand is the first, or finger.
Yeah, like her index finger. Is
Yeah, finger, Requiem, something, then like a monster, then puddle, or whatever. Like
right.
All these different stages.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing a star on the Walk of Fame being made. Thought that was really cool.
All of the stuff with the star is fantastic.
Yeah.
Maybe it's quite clear what it's saying.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of its effectiveness. Like the fact that the opening sequence, it over just like a shot of that star.
Yeah.
It's kind of charting the trajectory of her entire career.
Yes, yeah.
You've got the star being made, and then you've got her being photoed with the star, and then you've got people just walking over the star, and then she's faded into obscurity, and they're just like dropping ketchup and shit on it.
Yeah.
And then obviously the end of the film where she literally dissolves into the star, and then gets cleaned up.
It's like Maxine, isn't it?
Yeah.
You brought this up, you kind of made that connection for me. But yeah, like I enjoyed just how unsubtle it is.
Yeah.
Because this won the Screenplay Award at Cannes, which doesn't mean a lot.
Okay.
But it's like, I mean, it is well written and everything. But yeah, subtlety it is not going for.
No.
So yeah, literally it's just her as like a head in like on a squid body.
Yeah.
On the star, and then she just like evaporates.
Yeah.
And then gets hoovered up and cleaned away. It's like,
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. But good.
But good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I did enjoy the film more and more as it went on. I loved how full-blown mental it went at the end.
See, this is the bit where I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if I like how mental it went. Like I said, loved the puddle phase with the star and everything like that. I thought the monster was like, I'm fine with the monster.
Yeah.
It's the moment where it kind of leans into its B-moviness.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because I didn't really feel that, like, in the first 2 hours of the film.
Okay.
It felt like it was conducting itself... It was kind of handling its B-movie elements quite well, I thought. Like
Okay.
the you know, when that first sequence when Margaret Qualley is coming out of her and it kind of zooms into Demi Moore's head and you've got that kind of light show.
Yeah.
The kind of, you know, showing like how much pain she's in and all of the gore and stuff. It didn't feel like it was... Yeah, it felt like it was restrained enough.
Listen, it's a very artsy B movie.
Yeah.
But
So when...
I never took it seriously is the thing.
No, and nor did
yeah.
I. But yeah, you've got those sequences, and I think that's kind of the tone for the first 2 hours, and like you said, ridiculous men and everything.
Yeah.
But then, like towards the back end of the film, when Margaret Qualley kind of Spartan kicks her across the apartment,
Okay.
and just the sheer amount of blood that she's vomiting across the crowd.
No, see,
It's like, oh, I don't know about this.
Okay, see, I did like that.
Okay.
I thought it's committing to its premise and stuff. It's like, we just said Speak No Evil. It's like, right, you've taken it to its ridiculous endpoint.
Yeah.
Because the film is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's a very good film, but it's a
Yeah.
very ridiculous film. And I mean, I suppose I have a fondness for things going like mental, essentially.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't break the film at all. Like, whether you think it goes too far is one thing.
I think it's just like, it just felt like a jump in terms
Okay.
of like the surreal,
It's
how
certainly a
surreal
jump,
it is.
but it's a
yeah.
crescendo, isn't it? It's the...
Yeah.
Oh, things are getting worse and worse. Now she's suddenly a freak mutant thing.
Yeah.
And now she is just going to gush blood over all the... But yeah, the film is gore and gru and squibby. And so how do you end it? You end with just full-on Grand Guignol, hose of blood over the audience. Like, yeah, that's about right. That's
Okay.
its level. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's not to denigrate it, because I think it knows it's a B movie, but trying to like tackle some interesting ideas. Yeah, I liked it. I don't know what else to say about it, really. I liked it a lot, even if it's not entirely to my taste. But I would recommend it to people.
Yeah, I absolutely would.
Yeah.
I think there are people... I think there'll be a lot of people that genuinely really like this.
I've spoken to a few people recently, both people that I have been friends with and new people, that when they, you know, I mentioned that I do a podcast. It's not the first thing I say. When that comes up, they will say, "Have you seen The Substance yet?"
Okay.
That's the go-to film of the moment that people want. In fact, it's been requested. Hello, person that requested this.
You all right?
You all right? Yeah, it's been requested that we talk about this. I mean, we're
Okay.
always going to, obviously, but yeah, this seems to be the kind of vogue film at the moment.
Okay, that's kind of nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
It's kind of like with Terrifier 3. Like, you know, you didn't like that.
didn't.
It's not the type of thing that I would want to see.
yeah,
But yeah, the fact that is kind of outperforming big franchise films at the box office. It's like, oh, that's kind of
yeah. Last I
nice.
looked, budget of $2 million. It's made 50 so far.
Yeah.
and that's through word of mouth, basically.
Yeah.
But it's white girls. We talk about this all the time.
The power of white
Power
girls.
of white girls. Oh, white girls make all the market decisions, my friend.
Right.
Believe me. I think it's in Mad Men, but it's like people think men make all. No, women go and they do the shopping in the supermarkets. They decide. They make all the consumer decisions. Anyway, it's good.
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
Yeah. Recommendation from both of us.
And finally, Strange Darling.
Indeed.
What's it about?
Ooh.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. Spoilers.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Definitely watch this one.
Yes. Strange Darling is a film about someone and someone else.
Yeah,
it involves a serial killer.
Yeah, so we get text at the beginning of the film that says that these are the final days of a serial killer.
Yeah.
And it becomes a cat and mouse thriller where this young woman, is being pursued by this guy.
Yeah.
And then the film tells you how they ended up there, where they go from there,
Yeah.
out of chronological order,
Yeah.
that contextualizes things. But yes, as far as you are aware, you are watching a final girl being pursued by a serial killer.
Yes. But yeah,
Yes.
because that's very much the point that the film is making. It's not just telling it out of order so that it's able to kind of hide its premise.
Yeah. It's making a point about context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the assumptions that one makes.
Yes, and information being needed and all that kind of thing.
Indeed.
So yes, we need to spoil it to fully discuss it.
Yeah.
So let's just say, well, I can say it anyway, it's one of the best of the year, right off the bat. I don't know if you concur with that assessment.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a thriller with ideas and a nice injection of horror. See, we never flagged this up at the beginning, but everything we talked about on this episode was vaguely horror related.
Halloween.
There you go. I like the visuals. It employs a type of music I don't typically enjoy, which is that mode of airy female vocalizations. Here, I thought it really worked.
Okay.
It added a splash of melancholy to the carnage soup. Yeah, the whole film is about playing with expectations, right? So it's divided into chapters, which is something for which and I think you usually have a distaste. But here, again, it's very effective.
I don't necessarily have an inherent distaste for chapters.
Okay.
I feel like I've seen a couple of films recently that have used chapters unnecessarily.
I agree. Yeah.
Furiosa is the one I can think of. Where it's like, well, this didn't need to be separated into chapters. This does.
No, it does.
It really works. The way that it uses chapters in this.
Yes. It lays the chronology bare for you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One small downside is that the jumping around does telegraph that it's not what it looks like. Early on, the fact that we're seeing chapter 3, then 2, then you're like, okay, I know I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's a small quibble. It deals with the complex dynamics of sexual domination, submission, and that role-playing feeds into your misperceptions. Full disclosure, and potentially too much information, but I've dabbled in that arena by request.
Yeah.
And it's more than a kink enacted in isolation. It's deep in people.
Okay.
They are not okay. And that's not kink shaming, as they say, whatever. That's just seeing the reality. It's not an on-off switch. Something that ties in nicely to what goes on in this film.
Okay.
The reveal is that she, the so-called lady, is the serial killer.
Yeah.
It's worth saying now that the two leads are very good.
Yeah.
But Willa Fitzgerald steals the show.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think she's got, she goes on the biggest journey, really, in the film, doesn't she? Because obviously you think she's the victim, and
yeah,
she's not, frankly, yeah.
No, and beyond her just performance, the film asks a lot of her, and she commits to it.
Yeah.
Running around basically nude and all these things.
Yeah.
She's already doing all right in her career, but I think this will send her places.
Yeah, I mean, she just did House of Usher, didn't she?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people...
They liked her in
that, yeah.
These films don't make it to the Academy.
Well, I'm interested in how far this film's reach is going to go, because, I don't know, there's just something about it. It feels very, not low budget, but as you pointed out, it's shot on 35mm. And it's well shot for what it is. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple of shots where to me, they look like when we make films, just like in our house or like outside the house or something, that's what those shots look like.
Okay.
Like I think the close-up of her standing in the middle of the road as he's like gunning for her in his truck, and you can just like the lighting that's coming through the trees, you can just tell that's all real. Yeah, they haven't played with that image at all. Yes. They just shot that.
Yes,
just the way the shadows fall and the harshness of the light. It's like almost not quite. It's like a little bit blown out. It's like, this isn't quote unquote professional cinematography. And I think I looked it up, and I think this is the cinematographer's first film.
The cinematographer is Giovanni Ribisi.
What's that?
He's he's a famous actor.
Okay.
I think he's the cinematographer. You know him if you saw him. He's a Scientologist. He plays Phoebe's brother in Friends.
Okay.
He's in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, all right.
A bunch of Seth MacFarlane things. I think he's the DP.
Interesting. Okay.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's true. I'll have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm dunking on the cinematography.
Yeah.
It is good. But yeah, it's interesting because it felt very raw.
Yes. These films don't make it to the Oscars. They're just kind of too small for that.
Yeah.
But she deserves recognition. Like Giamatti in The Holdovers, that counts this year for me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is the performance of 2024 so far.
Oh, you really liked it then?
Yeah, maybe it even trumps Giamatti for me. I think this is the performance of the year.
Giamatti was pretty good.
He is good. She's pretty good as well.
Yeah.
There are hints of Irene Wuornos and other such killers in her characterization. Now, every killer has his or her, mainly his, unique psychological topography. But I think a lot of female killers are driven by explicit misandry. And I don't think that's quite the same for men and misogyny. A lot of men that rape and kill women, to call it misogyny doesn't feel adequate. I mean, it is, obviously, but it transcends that. And I think a lot of it's unconscious. They're not doing it because they fucking hate women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's other stuff going on. Whereas with the female killers with which I'm familiar, there seems to be an aspect of revenge. They were abused or mistreated. Now they hate mankind.
There's an element of that to male killers too, isn't it? I mean, the whole Ed Kemper thing about, it's all because of his mother. Or that kind of motivated a lot of his behaviour later in life. Yeah,
but this is what I'm saying. Implicit and explicit. It's splitting hairs to some degree, but Ed Kemper isn't like, God, I fucking hate women. Whereas like Eileen Wuornos, they were like, oh, men have done this to me. I'm now going to kill men.
Okay.
Whereas I think serial killer men that kill women, they don't think they hate women. You know?
Yeah.
There's something else going on. Even if it comes down to, pretty blatant misogyny.
Yeah.
In Strange Darling, the lady talks about the unique dangers women are in when they have a one-night stand. There are shades of that Wuornos thing. And rest easy, Bill Burr. I'm not saying that's an excuse. These nutters are responsible for their actions.
Right.
We never get a clear insight into her madness. But there are the most vague hints of backstory, right? Nothing concrete. But you cultivate the impression of abuse. Did you get that as well?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the film is very much, it's in the thick of it for pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's sort of a moment where the two characters can finally sort of sit down and talk once they kind of know who each other are and where they both stand. But a lot of the film is that pursuit between the two of them. And we don't experience it all in one go because the film's told non-linearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have their initial encounter in the motel.
Yeah.
After a while, it becomes clear what her intentions are, and she sort of, makes her move on him. And then, he's chasing her for most of the film. Yeah. So there isn't really, it's not, there aren't scenes and scenes of them kind of talking about.
No, there's none of that.
Yeah, and it's not as if we see her with several different men, so we get like a more rounded understanding of.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of just one thing.
It's action revealing character.
Yeah.
Which is, the best form. But yeah, like I said, maybe not. Maybe all that is an imposition about her being abused. But that's certainly what you cultivate, I think.
Okay.
Towards the end, she says that she doesn't see humans sometimes, she sees devils.
Which I think explains why...
He's the demon, right?
Yeah, because when we're introduced to these characters through their credits, she's credited as the lady, and he's credited as the demon.
Yes.
Which I think is their attempt to kind of keep you off the scent. Yeah. Because as you say, the fact that it's told, we start with chapter 3... If you're vaguely literate in cinema, you go, all right, what's happening? Yes. But the fact that she's called the lady and he's called the demon, it's like, all right, there aren't many contexts in which he's the good guy. Yeah. So I think the fact that, she says...
It's how she perceives him.
It's how she perceives him. It's like, all right, okay, that's why he's called the demon.
And she does seem to have these turns. It's like she's attacked by her own murderousness. Yeah. Right? She snaps into it. There are 3 such moments in the film. The second one made me jump out my skin. Okay. Because the music blares, it's her looking into the mirror, and okay, that got me. At one point, the so-named demon calls her a fucking cunt. And later, a male cop calls a female cop a dumb bitch. The fact that some people will be more offended by this than anything else is an interesting quirk of human nature. It's the Skylar thing, but with the offended parties flipped.
Yeah, I have seen many reviews from people. I think more users than critics.
Yeah, critics like this.
Yeah, critics seem to, which is nice. Yeah, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, this is like totally misogynistic," and the film is it doesn't. It's unrealistic, believe all men nonsense and stuff like that.
Well, okay. Incidentally, to start with, she is a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
She's a serial killer.
Yeah.
I'm okay calling a serial killer a cunt.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those like, oh, you've come up with such a specific example to try and disprove that all men aren't bastards.
Well, okay, so after she kills, big spoiler now. Yeah. After she kills the demon. Yeah. She's discovered by 2 cops, right? One male, one female, one Steve Gomez from Breaking Bad, one not. Yes. Nice to see him again, obviously.
Yeah, but poor bastard.
I know. You should stop playing cops.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's not working for you, Steve Gomez.
Anyway, the lady makes it look like she's been handcuffed and raped.
Yes.
Right? It felt like the writer-director, J.T. Molnar, was making a point in this scene.
Well, that's where the film kind of snapped together for me.
Yeah.
Because, when the film starts, it's Willa Fitzgerald running towards camera.
Yeah.
Panicked.
A final girl.
A final girl.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it hard cuts to that action sequence where she's, it's a car chase between the two of them. And he's chasing after her. Yeah. Snorting cocaine and firing his gun.
Yes.
Which the film does kind of adequately explain why that's the setup.
Yeah, completely. He's been drugged. Yeah. And he's doing it to stay awake, basically.
And obviously he's trying to kill her because she's a killer. Yeah. And he tried to kill him.
And he's a cop.
Yeah, you find out. Yeah. So when that scene happens, I think in chapter 6, so it's like the final...
It's like the penultimate
it's like the final bit of the film. We now have the full context for what's happening. Yeah. The 2 cops that walk into the room don't.
Yes, they're us when the film began.
Exactly. Yeah, he's kind of going, see?
Yeah.
This was you an hour ago.
Exactly.
See how easy it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in that scene, the female cop is arguing with Gomez that the victim needs to be treated. Yeah. When he's reticent about the whole scenario.
And I think that's been interpreted as like, oh, the female cop believes the woman.
Yes.
And she
Stupid bitch. Don't
Yeah,
believe
it's
women.
the film is making her seem
yeah.
like she's an idiot for doing that, when really you should believe women.
Yes.
It's like, well, there's more going on there.
Yes.
It's not just like, oh, the woman believes the woman and the man believes the man.
Yeah.
Steve Gomez and the demon were friends.
But not even that. Like, yeah, but there is that.
And he like, the demon called him and was like, I got myself in trouble, come down.
Basically, yeah, he's saying, let's wait for the detectives and the EMTs.
Yeah, and also,
We're not like, this is not our sort of jurisdiction, basically.
Yeah. So it's not just that, like, oh, my friend is dead, and also I found cocaine in his pocket, even though I know that he got himself clean.
Yeah.
So something is amiss. He's the more experienced cop.
Yes. Well, the female cop says to him, you're not listening to me because I have a vagina.
Yeah.
And then he tells her, no, it's because I have 20 years experience and you don't. Which is always refreshing to hear, you know. I can't see, but I can see why people are going, oh, what's it doing? You know, what
why did you make the woman the inexperienced, like, doesn't know what she's doing
right.
one?
But that's the thing, while it's an exaggerated example, that scene and the film at large feels like a rebuke to believe all women. Now, I'm not saying it's intended as that. And I'm not saying a wholehearted rebuke. I don't know Molyneux's politics. You can assume that most people in film are left-wing, right?
Yeah.
But the structure itself supports that thesis. Things might look a certain way, but you got to get all the facts. Wherever you are on the political spectrum will dictate your impression of which is worse, and the algorithms will bolster that feeling. But both sides are guilty of falling short there. Now, it applies to more than accusations of sexual assault, of course. Strange Darling is mostly concerned with rebuking our conceptions and the tropes of the genre in a cinematic context. It's like, you're used to seeing cat and mouse final girl films. What if we play with that?
Yeah.
I think it's mostly interested in the film literacy, basically.
Yeah.
But sometimes we might put in more than we expect. And I'm telling you, that guy has anti-wokeness in his DNA.
Right.
You can't put... Because people go like, oh, you can't put a scene together like that if there's not an underlying thing to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not an accident that the female cop... I'm not saying because she's female, but that the one cop is going, the victim needs to be treated. And he's like, I don't know, we should wait.
Is it not an accident? Like, could it just be a case of, like, just someone following their instinct as a storyteller and arriving at that scene and looking at it and going, well, this isn't, you know, I wouldn't have started with this, but this is where I've ended up.
I'm not saying it was consciously designed as a rebuttal.
Yeah.
When I say it's not an accident, I'm saying it's not a coincidence that scene exists.
Okay.
Whether he was conscious of it or not is another thing. You know, whether you could sit him down and go, explain your intentions here, and he would say something completely different. I'm saying that the reason that scene exists, there is a reason for it. Yeah, I don't think he believes, I don't believe, the film doesn't believe that, oh, when women have been raped, you shouldn't believe them. It's saying that things aren't always what they look like. Simple as that. And look, believe all women was always a stupid fucking idea, because all the slogans of the left are stupid fucking ideas. A lot of slogans on the right are stupid fucking ideas. But it's just like, they've always got to overshoot. It's like, can't it be, it's not as attractive a hashtag as take claims of rape seriously. Hashtag take claims of rape seriously. What? Believe all women? Who's the comedian's like, what, all of them? It's like,
that might be Bill Burr as well.
It's Bill Burr or Chappelle. It's one of the good ones. But yeah, it's gratifying and a nice irony that the lady is ultimately killed by a woman. Though it's possible she'd have perversely preferred that, which isn't gratifying. She does let the female cop go after all. The final shot is memorable. Yeah,
it's a hell of a death scene, isn't it?
Yeah, you just watch her slowly bleed out, basically, for like 2 minutes. It's a short and sour experience, and one of the year's very best. Hashtag Oscar for Willa.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's very, very good.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's what we got. Spooky.
Halloween. Yeah, this is the Halloween episode.
Yeah. Were you spookied?
Were you... Yeah. I don't like that.
No?
Were you spookied? Like, I won't go into it. But we'll see you next time.
No, why not? Go into it.
We'll see you next time.
All right, okay. Bye.